Swami Vivekanand had once said that every step I take into the light is mine forever. Lots of people can understand this simple quote in many ways. The way I understand it is that when you die, you're not going to take any of the money, any of the fame, any of the love and relationships with you beyond death. The only thing you take with you beyond death is the spiritual growth you have achieved in this lifetime. You'll carry that on to your next life. And the more spiritual growth you have, chances are the next life will be more conducive for spiritual growth, which perhaps could mean that all your difficulties happen early in your childhood, in your life, and then eventually in life, your path is cleared for a smoother spiritual path. It could mean that you're given a lot of material comforts throughout your life so that you can just focus on the spirituality, which for me is the purpose of material growth and material gifts and material blessings anyway. Everything is given to you so that you get bored of it and you leave and you focus on what actually matters, the stuff you carry into your next life. Every step I take into the light is mine forever. That's what Bhairav worship also teaches you, because effectively when you're praying to Bhairav, you are indirectly praying to Shiva. If you approach your Tantra Sadhana, your discipline with ferocity, and trust me, I approach it with ferocity because that's the only way I know how to play this game of life. If you approach your Tantra Sadhana with ferocity, not only will you experience mystical happenings in your own life, not only will you have divine dreams, not only will you have a lot of divine moments in your life, but you'll also see that everything that you've thought of achieving materially comes to you very fast and you get detached from it very fast. It's been a year of learning about Bhairav and Tantra Sadhana, and it's been only about 3 months or so of actually practicing on the Om Bhairavaya Namah mantra. What I feel at this stage is a very, very deep sense of detachment. Stoicism, which is a philosophy from the West, Stoicism is all about being unaffected by the wins and losses. For me personally, I believe Shaivism talks about the same concept, or at least turns you into the same concept. That's what I've been feeling lately. I'm able to see everything from an extremely detached standpoint, and that's one of the best places to be in terms of mental health. My mental health was terrible last year, and I'm not saying that spirituality is a substitute for therapy. I think it goes hand in hand with therapy. It's the partner of therapy. Your human side has to find itself and discover itself through therapy, and your soul has to find itself and discover itself through meditation, through practice, through sadhana. What does my sadhana entail right now other than doing multiple malas of the Om Bhairavaya Namaha mantra? I'm also working on the Soham or Hongzor technique that I learned from YSS. That's still a massive part of my life. Every single day, especially before the shoots begin at 12 noon, by 10:30, I'm in this very room and I'm meditating. I begin with the technique I learned at YSS. I still thank my YSS gurus. If it's an important podcast for which I'm nervous, I'll notice that the meditation goes even deeper. I'll come out of it, I'll light a diya, and then I do at least one mala of my Om Bhairavaya Namaha mantra. That's pretty much what I'm doing in terms of the sadhana I can share with you guys online. There is some more stuff which I'm not able to talk about publicly at this point. It's nothing crazy. I'm getting deeper into it. But what I wish to say is that this, I feel, is the big blessing of my life, that I'm able to practice the sadhana and share aspects of it with you guys publicly. This whole content creation journey, this content creation career has been about documenting my own journey. And my spiritual journey is a massive part of my own journey. Spoken about so many aspects of it, but at this point, I truly believe that, as I said earlier, we heard about Krishna and Hanumanji and Shiva growing up and Devi Ma growing up. Perhaps there was a reason that we've only begun to hear about Bhairav in pop culture much more now. If you're surrounded by Tantra practitioners in a social setting, the conversations go much deeper than just sadhana. Deities are the equivalent of God. And in Tantra, it's believed that it's the deity's will to come out in the public eye, to almost command respect in the public eye. And that's exactly where I see my place in the deity's grand scheme of things. I'm simply a medium to carry the name of the deity into the world, into public forums. I've reached a point in my own spiritual journey where I truly do not ask for anything material anymore. I want to get married so bad in my heart. If you followed this page long enough, you know how romantic I am, but I've literally stopped asking for that as well, because that is the true form of submission to your own deity, submission to God. We had BK Shivani on the show. She's always given us spectacular conversations. And I asked her for spiritual advice because what the Bhairav Upasana, the Bhairav Sadhana led me into was a phase of thinking where I couldn't visualize much more about what I wanted from my own material journey. If I sat in front of my altar, which is right here next to me, if you're watching the video version of the podcast, if I sit in front of my altar, sometimes I have a piece of tension in my heart that I just submit. I don't ask for anything to be solved. I just give it to God. But when I was younger, if I sat in front of the altar, not only would I have that tension, I would always have burning desires. I want this. I want this company to grow this way. God, take care of that. Take care of this problem. There's none of that anymore. Of course, there's a little bit of tension because I'm a working professional, I'm a business owner. But that's about it. I don't ask God to solve that problem. I simply submit to the deity. When this began to happen with me, I thought that I'm at fault, that I'm not being able to create strategies for my own teams, because I personally believe that even strategy first and foremost comes to you from God. At least that's been the case in my own spiritual journey. The further my spiritual journey went, the better my strategies got, the better my creativity got. It was a phase where when I was sitting in front of the altar, there was no wishes. So when I asked BK Shivani this, she said that this is probably the biggest blessing of your life. That you've reached a point where you've truly submitted, where you're allowing God to sit and write your future for you. This is called true submission, with an element of sadhana, with an element of spiritual discipline. And chances are that if your sadhana and your spiritual discipline are in place, it's very likely that the rest of your life falls into place as well. Of course, there's spiritual escapists in this world, but for most people in cities, to simply sustain yourself, you have to back your spiritual discipline along with your material discipline if you want your career to grow as well. The thing with spiritual growth is that it gives you a heap of light. After you're given that heap of light, it's said that it's in your hands to turn it into material gifts if you desire. Is that what you truly want? And it's in this confusion that I find myself as well. There's days where I wish that I could just leave podcasting and leave content creation completely, move out of the city, move closer to nature, and just focus on my sadhana, just focus on my spiritual journey. And then I know that I've signed up for a long-term game. There's people whose livelihoods depend on me, and there's a lot of work to be done. One of the greatest spiritual contributions that your life can have is if you're able to actually change society through the material gifts which are an outcome of your spiritual growth. So you pray to God, you work hard, you earn the money, and you leave the world a better place than you found it. That's the basic duty of any human being, according to me, but more so the duty of anyone who's both in the world of business and in the world of spiritual seeking.